to really know somebody. I just wanna be enough for you as I try to find the words inside my head I need to say. I'll do anything, tell you everything for your energy. Oh, this is crazy.
Thank you for being here. This is a momentous occasion, and I'm so excited to see all of you, right? And so today we're going to be dealing with rejection because this is the end of one season of my life and the beginning of a new season. This is my season, right? So we're closing the door. We're closing the door on the issues and the rejection and the pain and the hurt because now we know who we are. And we're not looking for validation from a man or a woman, but we're tapping into purpose and we're doing what we've been called to do and operating in our divine, God-given assignment. So I'm going to first of all, those of you who have never come to a CheMinistry, I just want to kind of go over what my mission is so that I catch you all up. You guys are 7 years behind, but nonetheless, you're here now, right? So CheMinistry was created to bridge the gap between purpose-driven men and women who desire to progressively move their love lives to the next level. So in layman terms, you know when you've had that situation when you've met that fine brother or you've met that, you know, you're like, wow, she's different, right? And then you guys are calling, you're texting, you got all this communication, and then something happens. The conversation becomes stagnant. He stopped texting. He take like days to return your text, your phone call, or she's just not interested anymore. And so CheMinistry was created to help us get past that place of stagnation. So now you got the premise of what we're doing here. So today we're going to deal with rejection, like I said, because we know rejection hurts. It's painful, right? So we're going to peel back the layers on what that looks like. We're going to talk about the experiences of my amazing panelists of whom I'm getting ready to introduce. And then we're going to arrive at a place of healing. So first off, without further ado, I want to introduce Jason Lee, the creator of Hollywood Unlocked. I also want to introduce you to Mr. Darryl Drake. He is a business mogul. He is a real estate and technology investor. And he is a motivational speaker. And I believe he's single. So, hey, hey, hey. Okay. All right. So then we have Miss Tammy Rivera. You guys know her from Waka and Tammy on WeTV. You also know her from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. She's an entrepreneur. She owns a clothing line. Miss Tammy. Now we have Miss Delicious. We go way back with Delicious, right? Delicious. Mr. Martell Hope. And last but not least, we have our relationship expert, Miss Rebecca Lynn Pope. You know her from Marry Me Now on the OWN network. She's going to be our expert tonight. All right. All right, so we're going to go ahead and kick this conversation off on rejection. So what we wanted to do today, because each one of our panelists have had their own individual experiences with this topic. But before we delve into what it is that rejection looks like, we peel back the layers and we talk about the intricacies of that particular topic, I want them to give us a synopsis on their own experience with rejection. And you don't have to be the rejected, you could be the rejecter. It's however you want to answer.
You looking at me, so I'm going first?
You first.
First off, I'm nervous as hell. This is my first time being on a stage like this, right? Reality TV is a little different. So It is, isn't it?
Well, we just did a live. You took over the live.
And as somebody who's been with somebody for their first time, it'll be okay. Of course not.
But so some of the things that in terms of rejection. So I was married for several years. I think some of you guys know that. And so within that relationship, I feel that my rejection came in, and I was complaining about me being rejected when it came to, dinners being cooked, sex, some of the things of that nature. And a lot of times I was pointing a finger at my wife at the time. I was telling her, like, hey, you need to take care of me. You should do this, you should do that. But in a conversation that I had earlier with my friend, I have to look at why she was rejecting me. And I feel that a person really isn't going to just reject you just because. And I feel that something that I was doing that made her not want to perform, not go in that kitchen and want to cook for me, or when I tap her on the shoulder at night, not wanting to roll over. So I have to look deeper. I have to look at myself,
okay,
and see the reason why.
Right. And so, what did you discover?
Well, it's kind of new right now. It's kind of new right now because I'm telling you, every day is a learning experience. Seriously, every day is a learning experience. Mm-hmm. And today, honestly, yesterday, it opened my eyes up. Like, damn, because again, throughout the season, even up until yesterday, I was saying like, she's the reason. She was rejecting me. And yeah, I went out there, I cheated because she wasn't doing X, Y, Z. Mm-hmm. But again, I really have to look at myself, and I haven't looked at myself until now.
Right.
Now,
I do want to, because, so it's easy to say that now because of everything that has happened. It's easy to say, well, I should have looked at myself.
You have to go through some shit.
But I don't want you to gloss over the issue from the very beginning. Because I've watched your show, and we've talked a little bit about this. Yeah. I've watched your show, and my viewpoint is different than most. Because what I saw was a man who was not being heard. Yeah. Right? I mean, I saw it because she's not a damsel in distress, right? She has a very dominant personality, so she's not a victim. Yeah. So I saw that. I saw you voice your concern, and I saw someone sometimes talk over you, and I saw you just look. And I'm just assuming in your mind, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Yeah. So it's easy to say, well, I got to look. You do have to look at you, but I don't want to gloss over how you got to the place where you say, you know what, I'm going to cheat. Yeah. Because something happened, not just, it's the both of you. It's not one person. 100%. It's the both of you. So I just want the focal point to be that, because it's so easy, especially bitter women. Y'all like, he ain't take accountability and all that. No, y'all, you got to look at.
That's what most of the women say, too.
That's what most of them say. It's all on my feed, all on my Instagram feed. So I just want to shine a light on that you have to, they both have valid concerns. Not just the woman, and I'm a woman who's single and never been married and been cheated on. But he has some valid points. He had some valid points, and those have to be addressed, period. So we'll get back to that. Delicious.
Hi.
Hey. So
you look so beautiful.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me about your experience with rejection, or if you were the rejector. You can either, And this is your opportunity to speak, where there's no judgment and you can be as transparent as you would like to be.
Well, I think like everyone else, I've experienced rejection. Mm-hmm. I'm sure most people know that my most recent relationship, I'm married, but I am legally separated. Mm-hmm. And so that, yeah.
Yeah, it's okay, because... See? Listen, we have all been, I'm 48, so I've been rejected more than most because I've never been married. So I've been in failed relationship after failed relationship, so I know it very well. You are married, so it's okay. It's okay. I mean, we're here to talk about, because whatever it is that's on the inside, the pain of it all, the enormous pain of rejection, I mean, there's someone out there right now who's going through it, who's experiencing it, and we're here to heal and to get it out. Because a lot of times when we go through these types of relationships, it's juicy at first. Everybody want to know about it. But once the story is out, you're still hurting, and everybody else has gone on with their life. They don't want to hear about it. So I created this platform so that we can have a space of transparency, non-judgment, and we can talk about it. We can really, and ain't nobody gonna be judging and pointing no finger and none of that. None of that. And there is someone, I've been there. I can't tell you how many times I've been there, right? So I don't want you to feel any type of way about that, okay? All right. Okay, so Daryl. Daryl, now listen, y'all know, I'm gonna say this because Ebony said it. So I'm gonna say some of what she said. So I don't want y'all to, So Mr. Daryl, this man is a business mogul, multi-millionaire. I'm saying it because I heard it, so I'm gonna say it. And from what I've been told, he can have any woman in the world that he chooses. See, look. But, but I want to know, so I got to be honest with you. I did some snooping around. And I was on somebody's live yesterday, and she was dropping little tidbits. I ain't going to call no names, because I don't believe in doing that. Well, I want to know what's that about. So I know you probably rejected more women than you've been rejected. What was the mind frame when you decided, you know what, she ain't it? I want to understand that.
I think we have to pay attention to how people make us feel.
Okay.
And I think a lot of times we think about what looks good maybe on paper. We think about how a person is in that first season of that relationship. Mm-hmm. And then we hold on to that honeymoon phase. Mm-hmm. And then we start to see things unravel, but now we're too involved and we're comfortable. And so I think for me, rejection should happen fast. It takes a courageous person to reject fast. Because the courageous person says, listen, it's not going to work out the gate, I'm good. The person that's not that courageous is I'm going to drag you along. I see things that probably won't work for us, but I'm going to still keep taking you through the stages. And I think that that's the person that really has a lot of people hurt. Right. You know what I mean? And so I think that when you identify a situation or a person not being for you, just go ahead and dead it, because it could just save a lot.
But fast is relative, because fast could be 1 month, fast could be 3 months, fast could be 6 months, fast could be a year.
Well, right when you start seeing the bullshit.
Right,
because
when you know.
The thing. You see it, right? A person can be good for a little while, and then you start seeing certain things. That's not an accidental toxic moment. These people are who they are.
Right.
And for me, I would ignore things and be like, man, this person is just having a bad day, or this person is not really, or they'll have, watch this, they'll have good moments, right? And so because they've had good moments, we ignore the bad moments.
Okay.
And we don't want to focus on what's really happening. And so for me, I just, listen, I'm at a place in my life right now where once I see it, it's a wrap.
But wait a minute, but on the first time, so you don't have a conversation like, hey, so what was that about?
I think that's fair, but I don't ask what that's about to give them an excuse to keep, right? That's not a permission slip. I ask what it's about so I can internalize what just happened, and then I can make a decision on, was this truly a mistake, mm-hmm. or is this person who they are, toxic, right? Because sometimes genuinely people are still learning, right? You have to have grace with people.
Absolutely.
So they may still be learning, and
right.
You have to pay attention to that. But, a conversation, I think, as an adult, that is important. Not to make excuses, mm-hmm. right? Not to look for that one reason to hang on, but to have that conversation to see how that person is really what were you thinking when you did that?
Right,
yeah.
Right. Okay, that's good. All right, so Tammy. Tammy, so you've had a public relationship, and we all know, and just, I didn't know you were divorced, right? Is that right?
Well, not divorced yet.
Okay, not yet, okay. So I just wanted to clear that up. So tell me about your experience with rejection, whether you were the rejected, because sometimes I think you were the rejecter. I look at some of your videos.
Now, how you gonna come up here?
I look at some of your videos and I'm like, wow.
Well, that's because I have been rejected and then I turn into the rejector.
Okay.
So that's just what usually happens in relationship with women. You know, you start off one way, and then once you realize that your efforts aren't, you know, when you constantly doing everything, it's like, why am I gonna keep doing this and this person gonna keep doing what they're doing? So once it got to a place where, and we're just gonna be honest, it is what it is, because y'all don't wanna hear about my past relationships, y'all wanna hear about the last one. But yeah, so when you get to a place where that person has changed, but now when they have changed, you have changed also.
Right. Because
of getting rejected.
Right.
So it's like the tables kind of reverse or turn, or you get to a space where, like I always bring up this meme that I seen on Instagram, and it says, the more you forgive a person, the more they love you. The more you forgive him, the more he loves you. And then one day you wake up, he loves you more than anything in the world, and you have no love at all.
Right.
Now that wasn't particularly my case, but something along that lines, you know, like sometimes you change. And when I first met my soon-to-be ex-husband, I guess you can say, we were 23. I'm about to be 36 years old, so I have grown as a woman.
Right.
You know, so
Right.
I have been, I guess in my situation, I have been rejected and the rejector.
Right. And y'all, just to be quite frank, y'all, you men, you guys wear us out. At the end of
Period.
the day.
Yes.
Men, where you at, men?
Period.
You wear us out.
Hey, men, speak up. They do what? They wear us the hell out, too. Let's go. Where y'all at, fellas? Let's go. What the hell?
No, it's the truth. It's not that we don't care anymore. It's just like we have nothing else left for you because you've taken it all, you know, over time.
That's the problem. You gotta have some voices. I'm by myself. Damn.
You're not by
They
yourself.
all here with their wives, you by yourself.
All right. Jason.
What up?
No, we already have clarified that you are the rejector.
Well, when you booked me to be here and it was talking about being rejected, I was kind of offended. But no, I mean, everybody's been rejected to some degree. You know what I mean? I had toxic dating traits before. I used to love to date straight men. That's a conversation for another day. And sometimes I got a yes, and sometimes I got a no, and I guess that was rejection. But for me, it was like, you know, playing roulette. You know, you're gonna roll the dice or whatever, and sometimes you're gonna crap, and sometimes you're gonna hit. And I never really cared about love because it was more transactional. I was focused on my career. I wasn't focused on love. Now I'm about to be 45 years old. I'm cute, I'm rich, I'm successful. And now I'm out here, but the market is dirty. So I'm like, I'm just gonna stay single, toxic forever.
See? Now this is the reason why we're here. This is the reason why we're here, sir. Because of that mindset, right?
But I don't know, but you know, I laid in bed thinking about my contribution to all of you out there who should really learn how to deal with rejection. I don't know that I'm ready for love right now because, you know, I lived through all their relationships too because of my job. My business is their business.
Right.
So when I see relationships every day, today we talking about Slim Jimmy and him knocking his baby mama tooth out. It's like, yo, I'm not even about to argue with you. Real quick story.
Yeah.
I took this sexy ass Colombian to Dubai 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
If he watching, what's up? How you doing? Check this out. Took him to Dubai. We had a great trip. I paid for everything. Tickets like $5,000 one way, just so you know, okay? Travel experience was horrible. Got to the trip, everything paid for. All you got to do is work out, look cute, you know, be affectionate, get drunk, party, whatever. That turned out to be the worst trip I've ever had because it was, you know, having to deal with another person's bullshit. So like for me, I rejected it. I said I rebuke it, reject it, I rescind it, I send it back to Colombia, and now I'm single.
So I need you to go deeper. Because I want you to define bullshit.
For example,
Thank you.
I say to myself, okay, if you're really gonna be in love, Jason, you gotta learn how to compromise. I control my world of Hollywood Unlocked, but in my personal world, I like my significant other to kind of take more of a controlling position, because I wanna get to a place where I can just come home, shut that door, and be able to just enjoy being, not an expectation, not working, not talking about shit. And I thought that was going to be this scenario, but what I realized is that, you know, very quickly when you reach a certain level of success or visibility, like you maybe, you know, you're always compromising, falling behind a person, or, you know, a person saying, oh, you think you're better than, or you're too busy for me. How you think we afford all this? I got to work. And so I'm just at a point in my life where I got 2 dogs that they don't give me all the love I need, because, you know, there's certain limitations with pets unless you're those other type of people. But Gucci and Chanel show up at my lap every day, and I can pet them and love them, and then
I'm mad at you for that.
You know, take a trip and yes, but that's my dogs. But you know, I don't know, like I don't want to, like, I feel like people nowadays, especially with social media and just like the world, the expectations are just too wild, and people just, you know, don't show up and have all the same money or whatever, or I don't even care about none of that. But at least have ambition, have respect, self-respect, self-work, know your value, know you want to get in a relationship with me, so that way you can figure out how to get your bag. That way when we both are ready to separate, we ain't compromising our situation to stay together in toxicity, but we can actually move on, and you can go be happy being mediocre while I continue to be a star. You know what I mean?
Right.
Such a Leo.
So, Rebecca, my question to you is there a way to avoid rejection?
She about to judge every single one of us too. Watch.
Without self-sabotaging. Yeah. Because sometimes people will just beat you to the punch, right?
So there is no way to avoid rejection without putting your heart out there. Because if you're going to dare to love, you're daring to be rejected. So if you're going to dare greatly to go for it and say, I want to be in love, I want to give my all to someone, I want that in return, and you dare to do that, you're always running the risk of rejection. And then we get hurt, and we want to withdraw, and we want to put up a wall around our heart because we don't want to ever feel that again. But to do that means you're blocking yourself off from love, because love can't exist beyond that wall you've put up.
Right.
True love,
right.
The kind of love we all want. So rejection is a part of life. We've all experienced it. In my single seasons, what I began to realize, and this is what's really hard for our egos, guys, you're not everybody's cup of tea. In my single seasons, what I began to realize, and this is what's really hard for our egos, guys, you're not everybody's cup of tea. Just because you're crazy about them does not mean that they're crazy about you. And what happens when we get attached and we have chemistry with someone and we are so into them, we tend to become blind. And we start to not see all of the red flags, that they're not feeling you, they're not liking you like that, they're not exactly so quick to get back to you, they break communication, they disappear on you, and you're making excuses, and you're, oh no, he's busy, she's, you know, she's a boss chick, she got a lot going on. No, they don't feel the same way about you. And we have to stop making those excuses and take those signs for what they are, because that's how you keep yourself from getting so deeply hurt, to keep recommitting and going further and further in when all of those signs were there even initially.
But how do you so for someone like Delicious, who is emotionally invested, how do you avoid that? Like, how do you?
One of the things it takes in mature relationships is you've got to slow down. Slow down. If you are grown and you have if you've built any type of life that is worth anything, you've got your heart and your life to protect. It's valuable. Has anybody ever witnessed, like, when you fall in love or you get caught up with somebody and they're toxic, how much time and energy and you're literally, you can't focus, you can't execute, you can't work on your dreams, you can't make money, you'll barely be able to take care of your kids, you're losing yourself and you lose all this time.
See, that's right. That right there, that's why I reject every single one of them right there.
It's real.
I got a business to run. I got dogs to feed. Like, I can't even deal with all of that. And that right there just exhausted the hell out of me. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be single.
And that's what people are going through by literally getting caught up too quick in your feelings, ignoring all the red flags. And now you done gave your heart to some buster that's taking you and wasting your time. And you're one of many. And you thinking this is your forever. And so we have to slow down and recognize our worth. We have to slow down and recognize our value and what we bring to the table, and recognize that we have to be measured and steady. We got to vet people.
Right.
Vet.
I would ask, in your marriage, at any point, because this doesn't happen overnight. There's a process to this, right? I mean, there's certain things that stick out, like you said, certain red flags, especially in the beginning, you're in that honeymoon stage. You just tend to overlook, I'm guilty of it. And then next thing you know, you're emotionally invested, and now you don't know how to break away, and then you make these excuses. That's trauma. It's trauma bonding. But for someone who actually made it to the altar, though, that part, like, at any time, did you see a red flag or something that was, because I almost think this has nothing to do with you. You know what I'm saying? Nothing.
Well, everything that everybody touched on, it was like you were speaking my relationship. So I did have to look at myself.
Right.
Because like Tammy said, I started to react, and my reactions weren't my natural relationship reactions. They became defensive reactions. And you become a defensive person, not just with that spouse, but with your kids,
right,
with your employees, with your staff, with your friends, and even with yourself. And also, when he spoke about, you see these things and you ignore them, and you think that there's just something that just happened.
Right.
Or for me, I'm 44. I felt like my husband was the prize. I mean, just based on who he was and his background, I felt like someone with the perception that I know that people have of me. I felt honored that a man that had the perception that he has would even want me in 6 weeks. He asked to marry me in 6 weeks after dating. And then going to what she said,
yep, you're safe here.
I didn't think about my worth, so I felt like it was an honor that he would look at me as a wife. So I said yes, but my red flags were right there in the 6 weeks.
Right, so you didn't have enough time to see, to really
I had
evaluate.
more than enough time.
Okay.
I just didn't
You just
consider
Okay.
that anybody of that perception would want me like that.
But I think you was the trophy.
Period.
I think you were the trophy. I just do. That's my perspective. I think you were the trophy.
And that's
So-
I think a lot of women feel that way. I think a lot of women get caught up. See how you can see, just for 1 second.
That's okay.
Look how bad and beautiful this woman is on the stage.
Yes.
And see how a man can literally break your confidence down to where as though you feel as though the world see you as this goddess, and this person done broke your spirit down to that low. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why we put up those walls to reject.
But he's broken, and he has his own insecurities that he's projecting on you. So I almost feel like he saved himself, because the inevitable was coming. The moment you discover who you are, then you would probably be out the door. So he just beat you to the punch.
You know what? I knew that on March 1st, when I told the world that I was married to, I believe, a narcissist, I didn't understand myself because I have never done that. And I've been in some bad relationships. Y'all didn't know about it because I'm not that person. And I don't judge people, I think I did and I just didn't know it subconsciously. If I see someone like speak on their relationship, I'm like, oh my God, please don't do that out loud. Like I would feel that's a train about to wreck in front of me. So I wasn't one to do that. So when I did that, I knew I had reached a point where I wasn't even myself anymore.
Right.
And I just needed the world to know that like I am in a state of, I didn't even understand who I was, but I knew my marriage had ended. The world didn't know.
Right.
My husband had left me 3 to 4 weeks before I ever said anything out loud. And I was just faking it online for the world because one, I didn't want it to be true. 2, I was in shock. I couldn't believe that was happening to me.
Right.
And 3 and 4, I was at fault because I knew that these things could possibly happen.
Right.
And I just stuck with it. I'm like, nobody on his level is going to see me like this.
Can I ask a question? Because, you know, we're friends, and this is, you said it twice now. And I think for me, part of my journey of getting to be where I am, very grounded in knowing where I'm gonna go when a person shows who they are immediately, is I had to go through a process of self-love. It was the hardest, most difficult, ruthless, independent process that I had to do. And Tiffany Haddish, I always give her respect for starting the process of making me look in the mirror, tell myself I love myself, telling me repeatedly to say I love myself. But when you said that you were surprised that when you say that you were surprised that somebody of his status acknowledged you or gave you value, how is it that you didn't see your own value when you saw him?
Well, honestly, thank you, Jason. Honestly, I always thought I was a good person. I never really let the haters get me to a point where I don't recognize who I am. It comes with our job. So I just rolled with it. But with him, when he acknowledged me as a mother, he acknowledged me as a businesswoman, he acknowledged me just as a woman in general. He said everything right that I knew about myself. So I'm like, finally, somebody is seeing it and recognizing it, and it's him. I'm like, yo, my husband was on a pretty strong platform that people just instantly respects him. So that made me feel like, okay, he is seeing me for who I know that I am.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm in the dark a little bit about when you say his level, but when we come back, we're going to go a little bit deeper in this topic of rejection and self-worth and value. We'll be right back. Welcome back to CheMinistry. Before the break, we were talking to Delicious in relation to her last relationship or her current relationship, and just knowing your self-worth and value. And something you said stuck out to me because you keep saying his level. And I don't understand what you mean when you say that. Can you paint the picture when you say that? Because a lot of times, guys, we make these people great. That's here, we do that, right? It's not that they're great. We make them great. We give them value. We make these people think that they're all that and they're not. So I want to know what you mean when you said that.
Well, maybe I shouldn't say his level.
Okay, because you're great.
Thank you.
We've known you for years. We barely know him. I'm just being real with you.
Thank you.
So go ahead.
And I don't want to tear him down because
okay.
I think that he's earned his platform.
Okay.
Because of what he and the other guys went through.
Yeah.
I understand why everybody can, gravitate to loving, adoring, respecting, wanting to honor, and in most cases give to them.
Yes.
So that's what I mean. I thought if he was in such an honorable position for him to look at me as someone of interest, let alone a wife. So that's what I mean.
But you're beautiful.
But can I say something? Because
Yeah.
Delicious started her career on reality TV. I started my career on reality TV.
Yes.
She started her career on reality TV. So people who watch us on TV have a perception. I know my perception is he messy. So listen, it's a messy job I gotta do, okay? And I cleans up well. No, but here's the thing, right? what we give out on TV for entertainment and what we have no control over and how it's edited and sold to you is who you believe we are. And sometimes, she ain't gonna say it, but I'll say it. Sometimes it seeps in our minds where we start to believe the narrative that's painted by people that we have no control over.
Right.
And so then we start to play into that. I know I played into it. Maybe she hasn't as much as I have. But when you have somebody like with me, where I've seen somebody of a certain status acknowledge me as a human being, it's hard for me sometimes to accept that because I've bought into the narrative.
Right.
And so I know her as a person. I know how dope she is. I know how fun she is. I know how sweet she is. And so she may have forgotten that because of what society or social media or social status says, because sometimes we put value in what social status value is versus our own value. And when I look at him, yeah, he's a nigga who went to prison, who shouldn't have went to prison, and he got out and he got a girl and then he's single. When it comes to the media, we don't talk about these niggas unless they dating y'all. So that's the crazy part.
You said it, I did. You said it, I did. That's all I'm saying. There it is.
That ain't being messy, that's being real.
I love you, Jason. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that.
No problem.
All right, so now I want to talk to Martell about this next component of rejection. Because I want to understand the mind frame or the perspective on rejection and obsession or retaliation. Because a lot of times when we are rejected, we act out. And we act out even we don't really feel the way we think we feel. Rejection tends to bring out a level of emotion that doesn't even exist as an illusion, but the idea that someone doesn't want us makes us act out in a particular way. So Martell, talk to us about your experience with rejection and obsession or retaliation.
Well, I guess some of the things that I mentioned before, earlier or whatnot, everything that I will discuss, it pertains to my marriage because, I was married for quite some time, for 11, 12 years or whatnot. And, any rejection I really went through, it was pertaining to the marriage. And so a lot of the times that I would definitely say my ex-wife rejected me. Well, considering that, I was married for like 12 years, so some of the things I will discuss, it will pertain to, my previous marriage or whatnot. And there was a lot of rejection going on there. And I guess some of the ways we really can't dictate how we're going to retaliate. And one of my retaliations was, again, I spoke about it earlier, was me cheating. And I feel that, though cheating is wrong, but I feel that rejection that I was receiving, it seems as if I had no, ladies don't get mad, but it seemed like I had no other option but to be out almost, because I felt that I had the discussion with her on things that she wasn't doing. It's not like I was a stay-at-home husband. No, I was the breadwinner within my marriage. I was like the dominant parent and things of that nature too. But then, it's like you're not cooking and I can't have sex when I want it. And so that really pushed me out the door. But again, like I said earlier, I can't point the finger all at her. I have to look back at me of the reason that she was rejecting me. And
so I'm going to ask you, not to cut you off, but how long did you contemplate stepping out before you actually did it? Because that's not something that you decide in a moment's time. There were some things that transpired.
Crazy. I'm so sorry, but it's crazy that you say that because the first time that I met that particular person, it was the night that my ex-wife was supposed to go to me to a barbecue. We got into it that night. She was on a computer in the bed, and she made this statement to me. We got into it. She said, "Go out there and find your girlfriend." She said, I mentioned she was on the show, she admitted to it and all that, but she said, "Go out there and find your girlfriend," as she was up in the bed on her computer. And I'm like, wow. So honestly, that got into my spirit apparently, because that night I met the girl. I told her, I said, "Listen, I want you to be my girlfriend."
That's what you said?
Yeah. And I told her that night, I said, "Look, I want a girlfriend." And I told her XYZ. And
did you tell her you were married though?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did. I always want my ring.
Don't nobody care if y'all married? Don't nobody care?
They don't.
Yes, I always wore my ring. Always wore my ring. And I mean, I know it wasn't a good thing, but at the time, you know, that for me, there was comfort. You know, there was someone respecting me as a man and things of that nature. Someone really listened to me. Someone that really catered to me.
Right.
And apparently, at that moment, that's something I was searching for.
Somebody stroke your ego.
Hell yeah, I needed that shit. I need it.
But talk about that. No, I really want you to talk about that because we don't acknowledge that. We're laughing, but he needed that.
Yeah. And Delicious just mentioned, she just asked me, did I feel guilty? You know, it's crazy because in the beginning phase, I felt guilty. And it's like, damn, what am I doing? But I guess as time progressed, I felt less and less guilty. It almost like it became the norm. So I guess for anybody, you know, it's don't get off into that situation, period. Yeah, because it's like 7 years in, I still communicate with that girl, and she is the mother of my son. Just like that. It's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. But see, here's the deal. Because when she said go get a girlfriend, that's a hall pass, right? But it's then when y'all get them kids, now it's complicated because the kid is a real live human being.
That's just 7 years later, though. Kid came 7 years later.
7 years, 10 years, 10 days. I'm okay with like, but see, I don't know. Let me shut up. Go ahead.
Listen,
Y'all gotta hear what he's saying.
No, when you're in a marriage, don't even play with that shit. Don't say go out there and get a girl. Don't even play with it. Take care of your significant other no matter what. That's my thing.
Oh, I agree with you because I feel like part of the reason why relationships fail, especially all the ones that I talk to, is, and ladies, stop driving your men away to other men. Listen, because I'm going to tell you right now. Let me speak on some real shit. I'm tired of y'all niggas DMing me talking about I just need to get away. No. You need to deal with your bullshit. But here's the deal. Sometimes I'll be on my computer late at night, and if you slide, you might get that flight. Because here's the deal. Your responsibility to your house is to keep your house happy. And if you choose to go to work or let your man go to work or let your wife go to work or go to bed angry, then you chose to let them look somewhere else.
Let me say this. If they in your DM, they don't want to be home any goddamn way, okay? Yeah. They're in the wrong household.
Actually, they might want to be at home, but you too busy with your girlfriends who's single talking about your shit. Man, but they can't find one. How about that?
They don't want us, boo. They want you.
And ladies, stop taking relationships advice from a woman who can't have a man. How about that?
Period. Now
That is so true.
Because I'm going to tell you, when your man come looking for me, I might not reject him. Bring your ass to California. Sorry, I said it.
Y'all can imagine what he's saying when the microphone is down in my ear. If y'all hear me laughing, it's because his ass, all right? Okay.
But listen, I want to ask you, Martell, that was like a common law marriage. You do know that, right? Like you was emotionally invested in this relationship. So you had no intention on ending it. Like you just had like two wives.
I mean, honestly, it wasn't my intention on staying that long. You know? I mean, honestly, I didn't want it to be the way it happened. I didn't envision that. You know, it's something that, it's like, it was my escape. Almost for like some happiness or something like that. Like, I mean, but for real though, you know, I was in a marriage, you know, my wife didn't complain about too much, really. It almost seemed like I was the one complaining. Like, damn. So, no.
Wow. She never mind.
Go ahead, Ted.
I was thinking the same thing.
I want to
I was going to, and I'm not trying to be smart. And
No, be smart. Go ahead.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying maybe it was a relief for her because she didn't have to, because I don't know
it's
your
hard
story.
as hell being a wife. I know that.
No, not even just being a wife. I don't know the story. I don't know her side of the story. Yeah. I'm just speaking from, I'm always a woman first. You know what I'm saying? Whether, even if I'm in a situation or I've experienced it or not, I'm still, you know, a woman first. Yeah. So maybe it got to where she didn't you didn't fulfill her. I don't know the story. I don't know her side of the story.
Yeah.
I'm just speaking from, I'm always a woman first. You know what I'm saying? Whether, even if I'm in a situation or I've experienced it or not, I'm still, you know, a woman first. Yeah. So maybe it got to where you didn't fulfill her. So maybe she felt like well, I don't got to deal with this. Let homegirl, she knew somebody was doing it, but she didn't care at that point. Because she wasn't getting what she needed either. So I guess sometimes, and I'm not trying to be smart, because sometimes men always think like.
So that's when communication comes in, guys. You follow what I'm saying?
But you won't communicate for 7 years.
No. So, hey, you guys got to go back and watch that goddamn show. So I communicated, and my thing was, I told her what she was not doing for me. And my thing was, she told me on the show, she said, what you should have done, you should have grabbed me and set me down, and you should have told me that if you don't take care of me, I'm going to go out and cheat on you. So she expected me just to be that transparent. But I feel that if I come up to you like, hey, listen, you need to start having sex with me, like we ain't had sex in a week or whatever, you know, or you haven't cooked and, you know, it's me and the kids, I'm having to go out and get something to eat. I shouldn't have to.
Can I ask you a question?
Well, as soon as he grab her and sit her down, he going to be on Hollywood Unlocked because he didn't put his hands on her, so.
But then why didn't you? Because we always have the option to leave before it gets to that point.
No, I'm sorry, but listen, so communication, so I feel that if she wasn't being fulfilled, I feel that she should have communicated that to me as well. And I feel that that's where we was lacking at right there.
Well, you know what, on the show, because I did watch some of it.
Yeah.
I heard you communicate to your wife on a numerous occasions, but there was something that I saw, like she wasn't listening to you. She just didn't, she told you what you was going to do.
Yeah.
It was, and you just looked, you would just listen, but your wheels was turning.
Yeah.
And I think she took the relationship for granted.
Yeah.
I really believe that. I think she got comfortable, and she just, because he's a excellent father. Like, they have 4 beautiful children, and he was at home with the children while she was chasing her career.
Yeah.
And I would sit here, and I'm like, well, she just, like, with the play situation on season 2.
Yeah.
Because I watched season 2, because that's where it started to, like, boil over. So she said, you said, why are you going to do this play? You're just reliving, you know, what we've already experienced. And she was like, I'm going to do the play, and you're going to support me.
I'm not trying to cut you off. I've never watched it. I'm no disrespect. I never watched that. Well, I don't even watch my own show sometimes. So I never watched the show. But I can say that what you see on TV is only 20% of what happens behind camera.
Absolutely.
So she's not here. I don't know this woman now, but I can speak, and I don't know your situation either, and I'm not trying to make it like I'm down your throat, because I'm not. But as a woman, I have to speak up and say, as a woman on TV, what you see is literally
not even 20%.
But listen, but listen, we have him here, so you can either.
In a lot of situations, 100% of what you see on TV is really what it is.
Yeah,
because it actually carries over onto TV. So some of it.
Well, the focal point on this particular show is their marriage. So you saw a lot of it play out because it was about
that was
marriage.
real.
Well, can I say something? Because this is probably why I'm never going to be married. And this is why specifically in my Love and Hip Hop contract, the only thing I told them they could not talk about or show is my relationships. Why? Because that's the realest part of my life. Like everything, I'm okay with the shows, jokes, wilding out, interviews, you know, the tea spilling, Instagrams, all that. But when it comes to like the person I'm actually going to share my heart with, because I love deeply. I'm a Leo. I don't do no surface love. It ain't no kind of love. My rules are very simple. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. Once you do one of those 3 things, niggas lie, niggas cheat, and niggas steal, right? But once you do it to me, there's no more conversation because trust is broken. And I'm in a world where I don't trust nobody because of what I do.
Right.
And so when I hear like if you have to step out, and that goes back to the last time I was at CheMinistry. When do you decide that this relationship is just over? So I'm rejecting the idea that I have to stay in and I gotta go.
Right. And so that's where I want to bounce past to Rebecca.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to mention is that it's easy to get in marriage and in relationships, it's easy to get in this tit for tat type of energy. And once you get into that energy, it is so hard to get out. Because it's like you're trying to get back at each other. You're trying to one-up each other. And this is the point where it is mutually toxic. And how do you break that rhythm and that energy when now you've inflicted so much pain? It's almost like, let's see which one of us can hurt the other one the most. And now it just becomes all about ego and inflicting this pain and getting back at each other. And at that point, guys, like for me, my divorce, I checked out. I'm like, before I become somebody that I am not, and before I start doing things that are outside of my character, I need to get out of this. And he almost like hated me more for doing that, like very preemptively and proactively saying, I can go out 5 steps ahead of this and see this is about to get real ugly. I'm going to file for divorce. And what she mentioned about retaliation, I went through 3 years of torture and terrorism behind divorcing my ex-husband. He stalked me, he broke into my house, he stole money. I mean, he lied about me. I mean, retaliation and obsession is real. It's very real. And this is before social media was huge. I'm sure if social media had been around back then, I would have just been under the bus, you know, just, he would have blasted it, because he literally just would tell anybody he could the most outlandish lies, everything became so exaggerated.
Every day. That happens to me every day.
I've been through that as well.
And so I think sometimes we underestimate also what we deal with as the rejecter. When you know you're in a situation and you're trying to navigate in a mature way to preemptively protect, especially when there's children involved. And man, it was a mess and it was a nightmare. And going through a divorce, because somebody has to be the one to say, I'm filing. Somebody has to be the one that says, I'm breaking up. This is not healthy. We can't do this. But like you're saying, now there's this vicious cycle that it took me 3 years and a lot of therapy.
Can I ask a question? And I hope this is not off subject, because I'm listening to this conversation and I'm getting depressed. My friend told me, because when I was thinking about dating the person I took to Dubai, who I'm not ever gonna date, I said to him, I said, your parents been together for 32 years. And he said they met and then 2 weeks later they got married, and they've been married for 32 years. So I asked him, call your parents on the phone and let me ask them their secret to success. And of course, this is pre-social media, pre-all that. And they said, we decided that we were gonna, when we met, we felt this immediate love, but we knew that we were gonna have to go through life with somebody, which means we're gonna have to go through everything we're gonna have to go through with somebody, and we chose each other. I thought that was pretty dope, right? I like that. I don't know where the hell that love is today, but here's the question I have. Why, you've been married 3 times. Why get married again? Like, why? Wait, no, this is a real question.
Okay.
What is the purpose of having to get married? I mean, is that a real thing?
That's a real question.
Have to get married?
No, that's a real question.
Because after you leave the first, then you get the second, then you like, I'm like, what makes you say?
And I was done.
Yeah.
I was done. I was single for 9 years, and I met someone so special. Because I had said, I'm not getting married again. I mean, it's gonna have to be like the most amazing, I mean, blow my mind, soulmate, sent from heaven. I mean, like that level of perfectly imperfect for me, right? That's what I put out there. I knew.
That's him clapping right there. Okay, that's him. Okay.
Actually,
I met him. He is a cool guy.
Yeah.
Okay, but how did you know when you saw him that he was giving you all those feelings that the other 2 didn't? Because
let me tell you something. When something's right and you've been through hell, and you meet somebody else who's been through hell, and then in each other you find this little piece of heaven, this peaceful oasis, sanctuary of love. That's the only way I can describe it. And it literally is gonna stand out head and shoulders above anything you've ever experienced. And that's when you're gonna be like, this is what this is supposed to be.
Well, if any of you that have been through hell know a little piece of heaven, my email is info@hollywoodunlocked.com.
I feel like a lot of people don't know I was married previously before this marriage to my daughter's father, which was my high school sweetheart, high school nightmare. But
Right. Me too.
I would do it again and again and again and again and again until I got it right. I don't care, because it's just like a job or a door being rejected, getting doors slammed in your face. You gonna stop opening them? Right. You don't know. I mean, I just feel like Call me J-Lo, call me what you want to call me. I'm going, until I get there, until I meet the man of my dreams, I'm not going to shut myself out from love. I'm not going to shut anything because you don't know what God got for you. If you be like, oh, I'm never getting married again. I don't know, God might say you are like, my husband might not be the third one, might not be the second one, might be the fourth one, who knows, you know, but I'm going to live life. That's what life is about. It's about living it. It's about enjoying yourself, and that's just how I feel about it.
Okay.
I agree.
Before we proceed with the conversation, I'm going to give the audience, did you guys have any questions?
All right, so I'm not married, never been married. But in my mind, if you're marrying somebody and you're taking that investment emotionally, aren't you supposed to stick that through no matter what? No judgment, but it's like you've been married 3 times, correct? Twice, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So it's like, aren't you supposed to, like, no matter what, like, you're married, this is a union under God and the world and all of that. So how do you know when it's like, yo, this marriage is no longer working for me and I definitely have to escape this? I have to. And then be open to getting in another one.
Yeah. I think this is individual. This has to do with your family. This has to do with your faith. This has to do with your culture. It has to be with your upbringing. I grew up, I'm a PK, I'm a preacher's kid. We grew up in church. We weren't allowed to date. My husband and I are both PKs. We both got married at like 18, 19 years old. We were kids. What business you got getting married? You don't know what you're doing, but you're not allowed to date. You weren't allowed to have sex outside of marriage, so what do? You date your first boyfriend, or you marry your first boyfriend or girlfriend. That's my husband and I's stories. And so everybody has an individual story, but nobody gets married thinking you'll ever get divorced. Nobody does that. The problem, guys, is that people are hurting. People are broken. The older we get, the more issues people have because baggage is piling on year after year. Get therapy, get healing, work on yourself. It's not just gonna go away. It's not just gonna take care of itself. I would have to say to you, I should have never been married before my husband. If I would have known what I know now, I would have never married my son's father because it was never right. It wasn't right when we were dating. We had to ignore so many red flags to even get to the point where we got married. And I knew within the first month it wasn't right. And I stayed for 10 years.
Well, for me personally, I would say I wouldn't, even though I was married at 19 as well, it was like I said, my high school sweetheart took my virginity and, you stuck with him. Or you think you about to, yeah, exactly. But even as much as I can't stand that man, even as much as, even Walker is like one of my best friends now, which is, always was, I wouldn't change any of it. I wouldn't say that I never should have gotten married because I feel like all of those experiences made me the woman I am today. So I feel like, I was meant to be that person's wife in that moment in life. I was supposed to be there. I was sent to, Waka for a certain period of time. Maybe it wasn't about me. Maybe it was about the both of us. I don't know what that purpose was. True. You know what I'm saying? But I also know that
it's our journey.
I don't look at marriage like, I feel like I'm not a religious person, I'm a spiritual person, and I know God is real. But I feel like when you lay with someone and y'all souls can join and those spirits are on each other, you're already married. That's what a lot of people don't understand. When you lay in the bed, you pick up those energies, you pick up that spirit as well. So you wondering why things ain't going right because you laying with somebody who got a whole bunch of demons that's jumping on you at night. So you already married into that person. You understand what I'm saying? So the piece of paper ain't but the piece of paper. If you respect the paper more than you respect the tie, then it doesn't matter whether or not you're married. I don't look at it like, oh, I'm walking out. It has to be you, what you feel for yourself. You have to fill yourself up. If you feel like, listen, I served my purpose here, now it's time for me to move forward, and this isn't serving me anymore, nor can I serve this person because I can't serve myself, then it's time for me to move on. And it's not about a lifetime commitment because you can still be a lifetime committed to someone as a friend. You can still be, you know what I'm saying? Like you can have kids together and be the best co-parenters or the best parents to this kid. So, I just feel like me personally, I look at marriage as a covenant, as absolutely, but it's not more so about the paper and the walking down the aisle as it is the commitment and the love and the spiritual connection.
And to piggyback off of that, if you don't mind, that's what I tell a lot of people when they say, well, you don't speak out about the marriage. Well, because if I speak about it, it may be some nasty things, and I really don't want to tear him down. I love him. I'm married to him. But I knew that God was using me as a vessel. Like I said, I knew before I said I do that this is probably not going to go in my favor. I didn't think it was going to end in divorce or like this, but I knew I was going to have to deal with something because my husband has a lot of built up trauma. So I wasn't the first wife that he abandoned. I knew that I was going to save him though, because those other women that he left like that, they don't have my platform. So this happening to me and me making it public puts what he needs in the public. So he can't just keep doing this and running from the help that he has to go get. He now has to go get it because women are looking like, something might be wrong with you.
Right.
And I don't mean like wrong with you, like if you need to go to therapy, there's something wrong with you. But I mean, you may actually need to go and sit down and speak with somebody.
And what he's been through.
And my husband has never been through therapy.
Listen, most people have never had a drop of therapy in their life, and y'all out here falling in love. Date at your own risk. Yeah. Like literally, that's how you need to be looking at people, and you have to take accountability for yourself and get help for yourself first, so then you can hold others accountable. When you meet people, you're like, well, I'm in therapy and I believe in therapy and I believe in healing. What are you doing? And then just wait and see what they say. Because somebody that's 40 years old, 45 years old, who's never got any professional help and has been through so much trauma. You guys, do you understand in this room alone how much sexual molestation, verbal abuse, alcoholic parents, drug addiction? There is so much. If any of you just stood up and started talking about your childhood and talking about your families, this has been so normalized that you think this is normal. Yeah. It's not normal. It's not healthy, but then we're carrying this into relationships.
I just wanted to say to my brothers, I hear you say that, she didn't want to cook, she didn't want to sleep with me or do anything like that. But as the man of the house, as the husband, did you ever think about reeling it back in, putting her in that headspace to say, you know what? Let me just get in her head to see where she at. Because I know me, I'm not sleeping with you and things ain't right. Like, this is precious. So just because you my husband, that doesn't mean me and you gotta roll in the bed together and the headspace ain't there. Like, you gotta reel it back in.
And so, yeah, that's one of the things I was talking about. When she wasn't sleeping with me or wasn't cooking or anything like that, I mentioned that I need to look at self. Because it's a reason that she's not wanting to lay with me or cook or something like that. So, yeah, I said, at the time, I'm mad as hell. At the time, I'm like, the fuck? I'm gonna step out, And that's what happened. But a younger me, I did that. But now, me reflecting, it was wrong for me to step out. So, I take that accountability. I did. Yeah.
But how could he, Rebecca, how could he have what she said, reel it back in? Like, if she's not listening, because I'm still stuck on not listening.
Thank you.
So what could he have done if just coming to her and saying, hey, these are my concerns, he's not being heard, so then what is the next course of action? If she doesn't see a problem, because if only one person sees a problem and the other person doesn't see the problem,
right?
How do you address it?
So, y'all ain't gonna like this, but I believe that 90% of marriages that exist right now probably shouldn't even be married. That's number one, because God didn't put a lot of this stuff together. Y'all put this stuff together yourself.
That's right.
And you have these babies, and now you got houses and property and money, and it just gets so freaking complicated because we've gone along with this fairy tale of just falling in love and getting married. And then when the fairy tale starts to turn into a nightmare and you're dealing with a real person and you're dealing with creating these these little children and all the responsibilities and pressure, a lot of the time we're not even mature enough to navigate all of this. We don't have the communication skills. We don't have the depth of spirituality. We don't have the depth of mental health. There's so much we haven't learned in life skills to navigate mature relationships. And so to be honest, I don't really know what he could have done because I haven't watched your show, so I don't know your ex-wife as well. But I will say this, until you go get some couples counseling and get somebody neutral to sit and give you feedback so you can learn about yourself and you can listen to her and she can listen to you, but both people have to be willing to do that. I've seen wives get comfortable and entitled and feel like, oh, you know, he all right, and not realizing, ask the single women out here, do you want to be out here in these streets single right now? And the single women are like, oh, hell no, you better hold on to your husband.
Absolutely.
But then married people want to be single because they're looking at the grass is greener and saying, oh, it's so fun out here, I can go out here and kick it.
But I want to ask him one more question. So was this affair going on before the show? It was going on before the show.
Hey, y'all stop that. Y'all stop that. Yeah, it was. It was.
So I'm just wondering, like, what now, to Tammy's point about reality TV, I'm just wondering how much of what we observed had to do with the show. Because a lot of the reality TVs are destroying people's marriages. Like, a lot of things, you're doing it for the camera. Or even, I think, even for her, I mean, you guys are a beautiful couple, you know, you look good on paper, but then I wonder, would she have actually left if it wasn't on the show? Because now you got all these people in your business who are giving their opinions and putting stuff in your head.
Yeah. I think things really heighten once we really get on TV, you know, and a narrative.
So you went into this show knowing you had an affair and it was probably going to play out on TV.
Well, no.
Or you thought you was going to be able to hide it?
Well, it wasn't about hiding. At times, I mean, I did stop. You follow me? So at times, I did stop cheating because, again...
But wasn't the show initially, my assistant is a major fan.
Oh, Lord.
The show wasn't initially all about their marriage. It didn't start out that way. From what I understand, first season, it started out about business and real estate. And then the marriage issue started getting so popular, and that took over.
We got some crazy people in the audience, okay? God damn.
You know what? Can I say something, though, as far as, like when people say reality TV messes up marriages, I don't believe that. I don't believe that TV messes up marriages, because if you have that bond with that person, let's just take marriage out of, let's say friendships. I have been on TV show. Everybody know I've been on Love and Hip Hop, which was one of the messiest TV shows ever. And you have producers, they will come to you and say, hey, ask Rashida this or ask such as that. And it's your character that messes up relationships. Right. Because I would look at the producer and say, Rashida, they want me to ask you.
Girl, I did it on Couples Retreat. I said,
yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not asking her. Do she know y'all want me to ask her that? Okay, well, I'm not doing it. So when people get on TV and they be messy for camera, then that messes up marriages.
And that's why I was successful in Love and Hip Hop, because I had no problem asking the question.
His ass was the one that was asking the questions.
But you know, Mona did say to me, she did say, because I was thinking of bringing somebody on the show once, and because I was in love, that was the worst 6 months of my life. But she said, you know, if you're willing to lose the relationship, bring him on the show. I'm like, wow, damn. And I lost him anyway, but I didn't bring him on the show because, you know, once that camera is on you, you got millions of people in their living room judging you, then going to Instagram and Twitter, and everywhere they go, you're seen and you tweet, and it becomes something else that I personally don't want in the public eye.
You guys would have had that, I don't know if you guys didn't, but like before I entered the TV show, me and Walker sat down, and I'm like, listen, it's me and you always.
Yeah, well, no, well, our things was different because, again, I did cheat and things like that, and it wasn't supposed to be brought onto the show. And so
how you do reality TV and think reality not gonna come into TV?
I want you to finish.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Her shit didn't come out. Her cheating, it didn't come out till later on.
Okay, so
let's go.
It came
I
out.
don't want to hear that shit.
We're gonna look. When we come back, we're gonna finish the conversation about her stuff. Welcome back to CheMinistry. Before the break, we was finishing up with Martell, and I wanted you to go a little bit more into when you were talking about your wife stuff didn't play out on TV and how that could have, being on TV could have a potential effect on how things played out in the marriage.
Well, considering that my ex-wife and I, we currently are filming a show, I'm not going to dig deep off into certain things because we begin to be at a better place right now. We do have 4 children, and it's real life. So I'm beginning to like watch what I say, watch the moves that I make and things like that, because, you know, we try to put the kid, well, we better put the kids first, you know. And it has been a difficult road, going through a divorce with 4 children and things of that nature. So I'm not going to elaborate on too much.
I want to ask you one more question, and I'm going to transition. How are you incorporating that 5th child?
To me, it's very simple. I've been a great father since I had my first child, and I'm carrying on with my 5th. It's no difference. Yeah. I have him the times that I have my 4 children, and a lot of people look like, how do you do it? I mean, hell, I just do it, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Does it have a negative impact on your relationship with your ex-wife?
Well, I don't let her even have a say-so about anything when it comes to my 5th child.
That's good. I want to, and I'm gonna move on, but I want to hone in on that because a lot of times when you're in a relationship and that situation has happened, a lot of times the man allow that woman to dictate their relationship with their child.
Yeah, no. It's almost like she knew that she was pregnant before I did. She kind of put it on social media before anything, so I think she kind of braced herself for what was to come. And she know the kind of the man that I am, the father that I am, and things like that. So she know I wasn't gonna be slacking or not having him when I have the other 4 children. Okay. So it was an amazing transition. You know, my other 4 kids love my 5th child. And again, they don't know any difference at this moment because again, I told them about him earlier on, and then probably a couple weeks later, I introduced them. And it was almost like love at first sight. So everything's been good.
I'll tell you one thing, I'm about to watch this show.
Right. All right. So guys, now I've been told that I have a few people in the audience. I want to do this because I want to get this conversation. Who has questions for Mr. Daryl Drake?
What's going on, Daryl?
What's up?
What's up? So I've been following you on social media for years. You know, we're
on the same side here.
Yeah, absolutely,
okay.
man.
Yeah.
We on the same side, brother. You know what I'm saying? Say that up front. No, we've been working in the same space for years. You've definitely built up an amazing platform as far as your income, status, platform, everything. Got a 2-part question. Okay, so we know that a lot of times, are you at least 30? Are you at least 30 years old?
Yeah.
Okay, so from my experience, after 30, you know, there's a lot of ladies that, you know, have been saying the Sierra prayer, right? They've been speaking things into existence. And some of these ladies that you happen to meet, I'm assuming they're being very assumptive about what they want moving forward. So number 1, how do you temper those expectations? And then number 2, what are you telling them as far as in order to be your wife, what are some of the qualifications that they have to meet?
Okay. So the first part of that, like, I don't focus on what the individual wants, like, first, right? Like, so it's me. So if I'm dating someone, my main concern isn't them, right? My main concern is, do I believe, by understanding who they are, do I believe that they're in alignment with who I am and where I'm going? That's the first thing. The second part to that is,
You're assuming he wants to be married.
Yeah,
that's
I
first.
I wasn't even gonna, you know, but no. So I do want to be married, but the thing is, I think I've been probably, arguably, the most quiet here because, you know, I'm probably the youngest here, and then I haven't been through a heartache like that, right? I haven't, I haven't been through a marriage. I haven't had that stuff happen to me.
But one would I ask, why haven't you been through? Are you guarded? Are you guarded when you go into relationships? Like, do you go in there with the intent, or are you purposeful or intentional about your relationships, or are you just playing?
I've been so intentional about my entire life. So I just think it's so interesting when a question was asked to you and they were just like, well, what did you try to do to keep your relationship? Or I just think that's unfair. I think that when you arrive at a place and a person, I mean, I'm sure you had the conversation, right? But it's like, for me, before you start talking, I already feel the energy. And so it's like, I just wish we just arrived at a place to where before we get into relationships and marriages, we really get to know who we're dealing with. Because I'm gonna tell you this, even if you go through therapy, you get with somebody that you're not supposed to be with, and you go through therapy just to get to the foundation of the truth, and the truth is y'all weren't supposed to be together anyways. So I think instead of being reactive, we start being proactive and saying, listen, before we even take this route, because I've been there 4 times, or I've been there twice, or whatever, let me save both of us some heartache. Let's go through and figure out who you really are at the core. So that way, if we do get into a place where we're not seeing eye to eye, I know the foundation. I know who you are at the core. But what happens is we get with a person and we start talking to them and we're dating them and we fall in love with their representative at that time, and then we want to go into counseling. But that's only going to uncover what you should have uncovered before the piece of paper came.
Well, if they're representing something that's a lie, then that doesn't really give you a chance for.
Well, and the other part is people are falling in love with fantasies. Like if you're a hoe and you want to date and you want to be a hoe, date a hoe. Y'all be the best two hoes y'all could be.
Okay.
But the problem is people want to date the idea of what is partner or idea of what's going to look good on paper or on social media. You know, y'all going to get the cute little dog. Y'all going to take a picture.
That's so true.
Matching pajamas. All that's bullshit. I feel like for me, I know right now my life is a little lit. I'm out here, I'm available, and I'm a very sexual person. And if I can get with somebody who's a sexual person and we can have a good time and there ain't a lot of problems that come with that, we'll go the distance. But the problem is everybody want to date the doctor or somebody with the white picket fence and the dogs. Get your business up. You can go buy 2 houses with 2 white picket fences and 4 dogs and still be a hoe. And find somebody that you could be a hoe with. Like, compatibility is a problem. The reason why rejection is a real issue is because y'all dating the wrong type of motherfucker. You know who you are. Every morning you get up and look in the mirror and you brushing your teeth. You brushing them hoe teeth knowing that you're supposed to be out looking for a hoe. But can't take a home to mama. Mama might be a hoe. You ain't even talked to mama about it though. I just feel like we got to start being real with ourselves. Like listen, real shit. I went to Dubai. I'm gonna be serious. I know I'm cracking a lot of jokes.
Really
I'm here for entertainment.
Trip.
I went to Dubai and somebody called ahead of me to tell the people, and my assistant back there, Rico, went with me to Dubai and told the people, you know he gay, right? Because it's illegal to be gay in Dubai. They're basically trying to shut down business deals for me, right? So I went out there and I got the bag, came back. The bag was bigger than I thought it was before. What it showed me was everything is attainable, no matter what object, no matter what barrier people put in front of you. And it don't just relate to money. When it comes to love and relationships, I feel like people just aren't being real with one another. If you argue because your is looking at somebody else, well, you was looking at somebody else too. Y'all just not comfortable enough to sit down and have the conversation about what looking at other people means.
And I would say something, I'm kind of, you know what? Yeah, that's true. I'm kind of guilty this one thing. Like in a past situation, like I was involved with somebody that I actually took from somebody. And ironically enough, that's how I lost that person. So you got to pay attention to the signs, because I don't know why it took for me to be sitting here and Jason to say that, for me to say, wow,
that's why
exactly
God put me on earth. But look, but think about it. If you literally took somebody from somebody, what made you think you were better than them that somebody couldn't take them from you?
Facts.
That's why every time I take somebody, one of y'all men, one of y'all ladies, one of y'all men, I know it's going to be a girl to take them from me.
But can I say this? No, they're always, I feel like this too. I also feel like there are situations where, because I've always, when I was in relationships, saying people say, oh, well, girl, he treated me like this, he did. But what's for you, baby, is for you, and what's for me is for me. So how that person might have treated you might not mean that they're going to treat me the same way, because we're different people. So you kind of, you know, it can go.
But your self-respect level may be different than their self-respect level. So you may tolerate less than this person was tolerating.
Could be.
I think that one of the things that we've touched on just a little bit, but we really haven't gone deep into, is that there are levels to everything. The people you have up on this stage are dating at a totally different level than the average person. But everybody is being affected by social media. Ego has taken the front row seat, the driver's seat, and is literally causing everyone to want to be in relationships that are Instagram worthy because you want to couples goals, money goals. Everyone wants to be in a Porsche. Everyone wants a Rolex. It's getting so ridiculous that it's at the point now, do you even know who you are and what's a fit for you?
No.
For you. What do you need? What is compatibility for you? Or are you just chasing an image, chasing status, and looking for someone to be the come up? Because at the end of the day, you're not going to be happy.
So I want to ask Daryl, how do you lead? Do you lead with money? Because I know the things that I stated about you earlier, I know that from social media, right? I know that you're doing well just by going through your profile.
A little bit, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A little bit. So how do you lead, and then how do you attract genuine people?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, before I achieved a amount of success, I would lead with that. Not just in trying to date somebody, that's a little corny, but just in general, like, look at me. And then when I kind of, like, over the last maybe 3-4 years, it kind of is cringy. I don't even like being introduced that way. Like, it's like, no, it's not me.
Right.
Leo. Yeah.
You lead with money.
Yeah.
Here, Leo.
Right.
But like, yeah, so no, I don't lead with money. I lead with like just...
Because I was going to say, if you lead with money, then when you get these people who have these tendencies that we were speaking about, then it's like, what do you think you're going to attract?
Well, if I'm going
they have
with
motives, ulterior motives.
Yeah, for sure. Like, but I think that I don't necessarily lead with money, but I think whatever we lead with is typically a representation of something, and we're going to attract whoever is looking for that thing. And so, I don't have an exact answer for you in that aspect, but I just think that for me, I focus more on just being as true to myself as I can be, especially in this season, because I've experienced so much shit in the last 24 months, honestly. And I just feel like where I'm at now is like, look, you're going to get what it is. I'm not going to hide the fact that I make money. I'm not going to hide the fact that, like, I'm who I am. But I'm not going to lead with anything because I'm done giving hints. Right. Like, I want you to show up exactly how you are, and then I can make a decision from there if I want to continue to be connected to you.
You said earlier, like, you're not, and I want the ladies to hear this, because so often it makes me cringe when I hear, a lady is all, some of the ladies that I know, it's what's in it for me. And that man just said he don't really care about what you want. He's concerned with...
Well, first, though.
No, I'm saying at first. That's what I'm saying. Because, women go into it saying, like, what is he going to do for me? Is he going to buy me these things? Is he going to take me out? Is he going to spend some money? Like, what is he going to do? But these men, they are thinking about themselves.
It just really depends, because the type of women that I've been attracting lately, not saying I've been attracting a lot, but the ones that I have been attracting.
So it's not that hard.
It honestly, I attract women based on how I'm acting in that season. Like, when I'm in my bag and I want to be in that, then I'm attracting that. But then when I'm just kind of like chilling and I'm just more like spiritual and then I'm attracting that. So, I mean, it just depends. But I just think overall, I think we need to pay attention to the signs that people show us in the beginning. That's going to save us so much heartache. And I'm going to tell you something. And I chuckled a little bit when they asked you, did the other lady know that you were married? And before you even say yes, I'm like, yeah, that's not a thing. And you're like, yeah, like, you can be in a full-blown relationship, and as long as you're honest, you can avoid the craziness. It's when you start, like, lying to women, and you're like, oh, well, and then that's when you start getting, like, the crazy side. But for me, I want
to talk about the crazy side.
Yeah, I try to be as honest as possible.
What do you know about the crazy side?
Yeah. So this is the thing. Anytime a person feels like they're not being told the truth, I think two things happen. They act a little erratic. But I think that also, I've done the same thing. I've been in situations with two separate people and the same thing happened. And based on how that person was brought up or based on their belief or their characteristics, they acted two separate different ways. And so I think that when you start, because your original question before the break was, how do you deal with like rejection and retaliation?
Yes.
And I think that that kind of can go back to like knowing the type of person you deal with. Like there's been some people that I've dated and I'm like, she can go back. And then there's another person that I've dated where I'm like, I know how far she's gonna go because I know how she was raised, I know her beliefs, I know how far she's gonna take it. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah.
So we also have a question in the audience for Delicious.
Hi, Delicious. Hi, everyone.
Hi, beautiful.
My question to you is, once you met your husband, I know a lot of times when we meet someone, we think we can change them, or we think that we can be an example. So did you see any type of red flags initially? Or was like your love or your infatuation or what you wanted, did that cover up everything for you?
My husband, he played the role of the wanted. Like he was the aggressor. And I didn't want to change him because the representative was really dope. Like how he presented himself. First of all, he is who he is. So I naturally, like I said, I was honored. I was in a club with some of my friends who are in entertainment who knew him, and he asked, can I meet Delicious? I was surprised that he even knew who I was. So.
Girl, everybody know who you are. You that.
No, you know what I'm saying? Think about, thank you, baby. But based on who he is, I'm like, what do you know about the flavor of love? You know what I'm saying? So I liked who he was in the beginning. I didn't want to change him. And then he was doing everything that he knew I would like. Like he was very family oriented. He was very gentle. And then he liked that people would say I'm sexy, but you guys don't know it. I'm really funny. So this sexy thing, I guess that's just something I've just always been, but that's just not who I am. And he recognized the other side. And he adored the fact that I'm goofy. I like to be with my kids. And, I didn't want to change him. I liked him at first.
Can I say something, D? I feel like a lot of, because I do that to myself. You say, I didn't know he watched Flavor of Love. Yeah. You have grown so much since Flavor of Love. Like, we don't even recognize you from that no more. Like, we don't. I don't know what you think. And it's crazy because it's like I'm preaching because my family tells me the same thing. Like, you don't recognize who you are. People love you for you, D, not because of Flavor of Love. Like, that is so, this generation don't even remember Flavor of Love. You hear me? Like, we know Delicious from being you done did so many things since then. So once you let that go, then everybody else gonna let that go.
No, you're absolutely right. I just was still shocked. I'm like, okay, you are Raymond Santana. What do you know about Delicious? To want to meet her. It's one thing if you know of her. It's different if you like, I intentionally want to meet this woman. So I like that. And then he said, I went to jail for 13 years for someone judging me for something that wasn't true. So I would never judge you. So initially, he was like, yo, I love that. You're bubbly, you're sexy, you're confident, you're comfortable. And all of that is for work and entertainment. But what people don't see, that's that 10% she's talking about. I like your 90. So no, I didn't want to change him. I did think that I could add to his life, though, because I knew that there are a lot of things that he didn't experience. His mother died while serving a sentence that, he wasn't even guilty of that crime. So that's devastating. So my mother, my grandmother, all of the women in my family, they were fully engulfed in giving him that love that he didn't have. So I like that part. I didn't want to change him. I wanted to add to him. Yeah.
All right. So now I'm going to transition to what emotions are associated with rejection. And I want to speak directly to Tammy. I mean, because I heard on one of your interviews where you spoke about Walker and him and the wild side and it being a repeated thing. And so first, did you feel rejected maybe when I don't know how you found out or, how you came to know if he was doing things that the wild, when you say wild side, whatever that means, and how did it make you feel?
Well, I would say my rejection started long before Walker. Okay. It started in my past relationship. being told. A lot of people don't know in my previous marriage as a child, which I don't blame that person from that marriage because we both were kids. But I went through emotional abuse, physical abuse, all of those things. And because I grew up believing that, okay, that was a form of love. When a man hits you, that means that, oh, he really cares. Or, when I wanted to do certain things, like I always, in high school, I always sketched, I always sang, I was a singer, I always, just everything I'm doing now, designer, I did all those things for years. And when you have people telling you, you can sing, but there's so many girls out there that can sing, like you need to go to school, be a nurse or something, like you shouldn't, you cute, but like it's so many other girls out there that's cute that don't make it. Or anybody gonna want you got a child, like, those type of things, you start to feel like, well, damn, he's right, maybe I should just, do this or do that. But so when you're so used to being talked down to, so all my life I'm proving myself, trying to prove. So then when I wouldn't put all that pressure on Walker, because when I got with Walker, my mouth was crazy because every time he would say something to me like, hey, yo, dang, you did it. I'm like, Nick, what you mean I ain't do it? He like, calm down, shorty, I'm just saying. Like, I just asked the question. And I remember one day, me and Walker having an argument. And he's a really tall guy. He's Walker's 6'6", I'm 5'2". And in my head, I'm 6'6". So one day we were arguing, and he stood up, and when he stood up, I kind of like flinched, and he stopped the whole argument, and he was like, why are you flinching? Like I would never, and I didn't realize that was a reaction to something that I was used to. And it's like I watched this man turn from this green giant to shrinking down to like a teddy bear, because him watching me flinch was just like, yo, like, why are you doing that? So then then after realizing that was a defense mechanism because of me being constantly talked down to and rejected and told that I'm not good enough. And then once Walker did do things, it was just an extension of that. So at that point, it went from me proving now that, oh, I can do this. Oh, I can be this person. I remember having conversations where I'd be like, I think we were in Europe, and I was just like, why can't you just recognize me? This was years before. This was before we was even married. I said, why can't you just recognize me as a partner? Like my nigga, I got you. Like I'm useful. Like I can do this. I can do that. Like like I'm the #1 investment. I promise you. And he wasn't trying to hear it. And I told him, I promise you, I'll make my first $1 million this year. You're gonna wish you respect me. That was in 2015. That year. I didn't even realize it. On 2016, when I did my taxes, I made over $1 million that first year. So it's like, it put fire in you. You know what I'm saying? Like, rejection, my emotions, and being rejected, it goes way beyond Walker. It goes way beyond relationships. It goes back to childhood. It goes back to, you get what I'm saying? So all those things just build on it. But how I use it in my reaction was like, oh, I'm gonna make you respect me. You gonna wish, like so many people try to put me in a box and say, oh, that's just Walker's wife. No, add singer under that, add business owner under that, add designer under that, add TV person, not just TV personality. I've been in movies, produced, you know what I'm saying? Like executive producer of my own show. Like you're not gonna shut me out and just box me into being Walker's wife. Right. I ain't let him do it, I'm not gonna let y'all do it. So for me, my reaction to it was just bossing up. Like your best revenge is your paper.
Right. One of the things that I know, because like you said, Rebecca, everybody is not going to be your cup of tea. Like, you're just not going to be compatible. But one of the things that I do know is when you tap into your God-given assignment or your purpose, or you become self-aware and you know who you are, it just doesn't hurt that much anymore. You may get disappointed, but it just gives you a level of confidence like, oh, you don't like me? Cool, and you move on.
Sometimes the more unavailable someone is, there's this part of our human nature that makes us want them more. Like if someone is just a little bit more, the dynamic is in their power, if they have the power, if they have the upper hand, and there's this dynamic inside of us that, there's a saying that whatever you chase will run. Right? So there's this dynamic that naturally, when I was single, I was dating a man, and mind you, I was already a relationship expert. I was already a dating guru. And we went on like 3 dates, and I remember that I was really into him. Like, I really liked him. And it took me about to the 5th date to realize he didn't like me the way I liked him. But I had missed all those signs because he was just a little bit less available than me. It's like I was the one always leaning in. I was initiating more than he was, right? I had to literally exert self-discipline to cut him off. At the end of the day, like I said, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And you have to get that in your mind so that when the signs are there that they're not into you, you cut it off immediately.
I have a question.
I'm sorry. One sec. Hold that thought. When we come back, we're going to address your question. We'll be right back. Talking about how emotions are associated with rejection. And Daryl, you had a question. Go ahead, sir, and ask your question.
Yeah, so my question was really like, do you feel like if you would have had that conversation, not assuming you didn't, but let's assume you had that conversation. Yes, you. I'm on your side, though. I'm just, do you feel like at your core, if you would have had that serious conversation with your then wife, she was able to change and become who you needed her to be? Not possibility, but the actual capability in that season of her life to be who you needed her to be.
To answer that question, of course she was capable. She was capable of doing it from the beginning, but I guess just the emotions, the feelings and things of that nature, whatever I was giving or not giving at that time was the actual response, and I guess the response was, I'm not doing certain things to satisfy him because of what I was doing or what I was not doing. So one or the other.
I just asked him that question off camera. Did he think that his wife, because he said that your side piece only really gave you like 15-20% of what you were missing?
Yeah, look at you, a producer. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
No, that's correct, right?
No, that's accurate.
Your wife was giving you 80%, but you were willing to risk that for 15 or 20?
I think that was very foolish of me to do such a thing. But at that time, I'm not thinking like, oh, my wife giving me 85% and she's giving me 15 or whatever. I wasn't thinking like that. So, if I had thought like that, I would have been like, hell no, I don't want that damn 15%. I'm going to stick in this house and sit my ass down somewhere. But that wasn't the case. I think that I wasn't thinking. Yeah.
But you know what? If you give 85%, you deserve to lose everything you got to that 15%. Because if you date me, I'm 100% motherfucker. So you better give me 100% too.
I appreciate that.
And I'm not saying to you.
I'm saying I appreciate that because that's accurate.
Because I know that's going to strike a nerve with some people. But let me say something, because I dated a 15%er, or no, he was a 50%er. And when you talk about retaliation, I had way more resources than him. And this is way before TV and money and all that. I had money, but I didn't have money like I got money now. Now I would be a problem. But then I had the money. And this person cheated on me, lied on me, and stole from me in the same weekend. And those are my 3 rules. So retaliation, you talk about retaliation, I was the Floyd Mayweather retaliation. I went out, I intentionally did so much damage to that person that I wrote a chapter about it in my book, God Must Have Forgot About Me. The chapter's Toxic Ass. I don't know if I was talking about him or me. But what I realized was I had committed to making him feel the embarrassment I felt by him lying, cheating, and stealing from me. So what I realized was that person was giving me less than 100%, and the way I reacted, it was a reflection of how less I love myself. So now I realize if you don't give me 100%, which is why I'm single, because nobody in this generation with social media and with clout chasing and with all that understands really, truly giving 100%. Because once you give me 99, that one problem you got is right here, and it's a wrap.
And that's one of the things I was going to mention as well, is that one of the things that Martel was just mentioning is it's selfishness. When we talk about why does someone leave or cheat on their wife who's giving them 80, 85%, and it's small issues that we should be working on, but we don't. There's selfishness. It comes in, it sneaks in, and especially if we're immature, we're younger, I think a lot of the time before men are 40 years old, they're still growing up. Just real talk. And so it's really important, I think, to recognize that selfishness can enter in, and when you do that, you're going to leave for the wrong reasons and do some really dumb things.
Wait, before you wrap it up, when you said the 85, it's wrong for the 85%ers.
I was saying that if you're going to leave somebody for the 85% for the 15, there's like this selfishness of like, I want it all, so let me go try to get this 15, but hold on to my 85. I'm not letting go of my 85. I'm going to go try to get my 15 too.
I swear I'm not trying to be shady, and I respect you as a black woman as well. But I want to know personally for when you say get counseling, right? What makes you a relationship guru, or can I go to my mom, who I might think is a relationship, or my auntie? Like, do it have to be a professional relationship guru, or can it be someone who you just look at as a professional
like
to
me.
give you that? I would, bitch. I'm not calling you.
I think it's important to understand that there's a big difference between mental health professionals. So there are licensed therapists and counselors who have clinical education to be able to help you navigate trauma and abuse and pain. That's number one. I have a therapist. My husband has a therapist. We also have a couples counselor on top of those individual therapists. So it's important to be able to recognize that there's coaches who can help you reach certain goals. You can hire coaches, read books, get therapy, all of the above.
I think we just need to really get to the core of who a person is before we start getting into relationships and all that shit, and just say, listen, I'm going to spend X amount of time with you. I need you to be as authentic as possible. And they still may lie, but at least you get to have discernment and make that decision. I think at the core of what everybody is saying is really that you just need to make sure that you're with somebody that can truly love you in the way that you need to be loved. And if they can't, then at least have enough courage to let you go in a reasonable amount of time, if not right away. That's what I think.
And with that being said, if all minds are clear, let the church say, amen.
Amen.
I say.
Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate you all.
Takes a lot to really know somebody. I just wanna be enough for you as I try to find the words inside my head.